cozy friends, and welcome back to another video. My name's Katarina and this is my channel of everything bookish, cozy, and lifestyle related. So we have made it through another month. July is done. We are getting closer to the fall time. We are going into August, which is my favorite time of the year because it is my birthday in a few days. Today is the 30th and my birthday is on August 2nd, and I am very excited. But getting back to it. It is the end of July and I have a lot of great books to talk about. The month of July was a really great reading month for me. Not only did I get out of my reading slump, but I was actually picking up books and enjoying them. So before we get into the video and showing you all the books that I read in the month of July, definitely make sure to go check me out on my Instagram page, A Sip of Cozy. It is where I post all of my bookish, cozy content. So with that, let's get into the books that I read in the month of July. So I ended up reading 8 books, 3 fantasy books, and then 5 manga volumes. I was really impressed with the number of books that I read this month, just because of the fact that from January to May, it was like 2 to 3 books, and compared to last year when it was 10 to 12 books a month. So feeling really good and feeling like I'm actually catching up with my own personal reading goal. So the first book that I ended up picking up at the beginning of this month was The Empress of Time by Kylie Lee Baker. So this book is part of a duology. The first book is The Keeper of Night. I'm not good at synopsises, guys. Never have been. But to kind of give you just like some key points, this duology ends up following a young woman and her brother. The young woman, the main character, is Ren, and she is half Reaper, half Shikigami. So technically she is half white, half Japanese, and it follows her story and her struggles of being half white, half Japanese, as well as half Reaper, half Shikigami, and not being accepted in either world. And then of course her brother's kind of tagging along, and her brother is quite naive and isn't understanding her sister, his sister's struggles and the things that she's going through. And not only that, Ren is a very morally gray character. She is neither good nor bad, and the choices that she makes can be quite disturbing at times. Now, this duology is quite dark for a young adult fantasy. I definitely feel like it could be classified as more of a new adult fantasy just because of the amount of gore and blood and violence that you see in these books. So before you go into them, obviously check out those kind of trigger warnings. And I ended up really enjoying The Empress of Time. I ended up giving this a 4 stars at the beginning of the month, and yeah, really enjoyed it. Then if you watched my reading 1 hour a day challenge, you would know that I ended up picking up The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. Not one that I expected to like. I had heard so many things about it. It was super hyped, and I didn't know if I was actually going to enjoy it because, one, I'm not a big romance. I love fantasy and I love some fantasy romance, but when the romance takes the precedent in a fantasy book, I tend to not enjoy it. And man, was I wrong. Yes, there was romance and there was kind of some, tension between the main female character and the main male character, but yet the plot and the world building also took a really it also took kind of a forefront of this book. It wasn't just that the romance took over. The plot, the world building really was there, and it was absolutely amazing. And a little bit of a background on this book. This book follows Oriya. She is a vampire king's adopted daughter. She was found when she was very young and was adopted by the vampire king and was raised by this vampire king, and he ends up training her to end up going into these very, very difficult and very brutal vampire trials to be able to get a wish by the vampire goddess. It was good. It was absolutely amazing. I ended up giving this one a 4.5 stars. I know, why didn't I give it a 5 star? Because I don't give books 5 stars very easily. The last fantasy novel that I picked up in the month of July was In the Lives of Puppet by TJ Klune. I think this is more, I would consider this more sci-fi, dystopian. This book is everything. Now granted, I am biased because TJ Klune is one of my favorite authors. He's an auto-buy author for me. Every book that he's written, I have fallen in love with. I ended up giving this one a 4.5 stars. This is a world of androids and humanoids, and an android ends up finding a young child and a human young child and raising him, and Vic, it becomes kind of like his adoptive father, very much so an inventor, inventing, and there's two other little androids that's around. There's a vacuum android who has a lot of anxiety, and he's always like glass half full. And then there's the nurse Ratched. She's a nurse android. She looks more like a box, like in my head, I pictured her very much so like what a robot would look like. And she is, she's something else. And then, of course, there is Hap, and he is a new humanoid android that's kind of brought into this world, brought into Vic's world, and they're living in this beautiful forest in a treehouse. And of course, Vic's dad is taken, and he goes on this adventure to save his dad, and he goes into obviously this world very much so run by robots. And this book isn't just this like coming home feeling and found family feeling, but it also really addresses a lot of issues that we face in society today and the choices that scientists and government makes, and how we don't think things through when we're creating things or doing things. We don't stop to think about the should we do this instead of the can we do this. He really addresses that in this book, that there's this situation where should we be creating AI? Is this a good choice that we're creating AI? We know that we can create it. We know that we are currently creating it, but is it a good idea? If you haven't picked up anything by TJ Klune, always recommend it because he is my favorite author ever. Next to a few other authors, but he's definitely he has a new book coming out, I'm gonna go buy it. But absolutely loved it. Now kind of moving on into the manga series, the manga volumes that I read, and that is The Demon Prince of Mamoki House. I read volumes 8 through 11, so 8, 9, 10, and 11. And I think I talked a little bit about it in my reading challenge, but I'm sort of enjoying this series. So kind of to give you once again a really bad premise about this book, there is a young woman. She has been orphaned. Her mother and father passed away when she was quite young, and so she ends up getting a letter in the mail saying, hey, your parents left you this estate. She goes to the estate and realizes that it's overrun by shimigamis, demons, and other natural things because of the fact that the house is sitting on the in-between world between the human world and the demon world. And she ends up meeting Aoi, the boy there that is trapped there, and he cannot leave. And so it's been her entire mission, this entire series, to save him. There's only 16 volumes in this series. And I don't know if I'm liking this series very much. A lot of the volumes follows this main female character getting kidnapped or getting into a situation where she consistently needs to be saved, and I feel like that's the only reason she exists, is to be saved, is that she's a damsel in distress, and she just doesn't feel like she's playing a main part in the series. Not my most favorite manga series out there, but I am adamant on finishing it. And then the last manga volume that I picked up in the month of July, and the last book that I picked up in the month of July, was A Sign of Affection, Volume 6, I believe, by Sue Morishita. This series is absolutely amazing. If you have not picked up A Sign of Affection, or you want to get into a manga series, I really recommend this. It's absolutely cute, it's adorable, it's beautiful, and the art style is absolutely stunning. I mean, look at this cover. It's so beautiful. It follows a young college woman. She is deaf, and it's her navigating the world and also navigating her first relationship. And the person that she ends up falling in love with is a traveler, and he loves to travel and he loves to learn languages, and it's just a beautiful and heartwarming series. I really recommend it for people that are just getting into manga series or need a heartwarming romance. And there you guys have it. There are all the books that I read in the month of July. I feel like July was quite a successful reading month, not only for just getting out of a reading slump, but for finding books that I actually really enjoyed and can't wait to pick up sequels to. So yeah, there we have it. Make sure to give me a like on this video, guys, if you want more videos like this. Definitely leave in the comments below what your favorite read of July was. Also, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more videos, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!